Are you done with morning traffic and pain through the nose just to survive? Perfect! Watch this video because I'm going to give you some great places to relocate to if you're retired or working remotely. Both of those situations are looking for the same thing: low cost, safety, and they don't need jobs. Municipalities like cities and towns love people like that, putting money into the local economy, maybe paying some taxes, and they're not taking up a job one of the residents could take. In this video, we're looking at places that aren't crazy expensive and not terribly dangerous. A little give and take. If a place has perfect stats, it's going to be expensive. If it sucks, it's going to be cheap. There has to be a little bit of a balancing act here. Stick around because number 2, a lot of people won't think is worthy of this list, but I'll explain why I think it is. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines might not scream relocation paradise, but hear me out. It's affordable, friendly, and surprisingly hip. Yeah, who would have known? Iowa. This Midwestern city boasts a growing art scene, cultural scene, and impressive number of parks, and weather that's bearable most of the year. Winters can get a little harsh, not as bad as Minnesota, Wisconsin, and let's say Michigan, but it gets pretty bad. The rest of the year is kind of nice. Plus, it's got a low cost of living and excellent internet connectivity. You'll find it's the perfect place for working remotely, drinking craft beer, going to farmers markets, and finding single women that know how to work a plow. The crime rate in Des Moines is only 4% higher than the national average. Their cost of living is actually 5% lower than the national average. Now, I always tell the crime stat and people are, oh, well, it's above average. Well, like I said before, there are places in this country that it's 400% above the national average, so 4% is nothing. The average home value in Des Moines, Iowa is $200,000. That is third quarter 2024. Number 9, Rogers, Arkansas. Rogers, Arkansas is up there in that northwest corner of Arkansas that isn't like the rest of Arkansas. It's got things going on, good things, not inbreeding and suspenders like the rest of Arkansas. Rogers is proof that small town charm and modern convenience can coexist. Now, it's not really a small town, it is a city, but it doesn't feel like it. I've been there a few times. This city offers affordable cost of living, mild weather, and a booming art scene. And let's not forget the Razorbacks. Whether you're a sports fan or not, or just enjoy community spirit, this place has you covered with the university just down the road in Fayetteville. Arkansas is known as the natural state, and that's because it is a beautiful state when it comes to nature. They used to be called the land of opportunity, but when people started saying it was false advertising, they had to change it. But it is hard to find states that are as beautiful as Arkansas when you get out into their nature. Explore the Ozark Mountains when you're not busy pretending to work remotely. That's the best advice I can give you. The crime rate in Rogers is 9% above the national average, their cost of living is 4% lower than the national average, and the average home value is only $354,000. Number 8, El Centro, California. Ever heard of it? Not a lot of people have. But if you find yourself in San Diego and you drive east for 2 hours, you're going to find yourself in El Centro. And a big sign that says, "Welcome to El Centro," where the weather is so mild you might confuse it with the surface of the sun. Yeah, it's a little hot, but you're not going to get a bunch of rain and you're never, ever going to shovel snow. If you try and buy a snow shovel in El Centro on Amazon, their algorithm will probably figure you ordered that by mistake and not send it to you. Sure, it's desert, but like I said, no snow. Housing is surprisingly affordable for California standards because most people flee to the north so they can afford air conditioning. Plus, it's really close to Mexico, so you could just pop across the border for some tacos that actually cost less than your kid's college tuition. This place is a decent place to live. The stats are good. It's just really hot, so if you don't like drinking water all the time, probably not a good place for you. The crime rate in El Centro is 4% above the national average. Cost of living is only 11% above the national average. And the average home value is $365,000. Now, that does sound a little expensive, but it's California. You're not too far from the beach and San Diego and SeaWorld and all that stuff. A lot of retirees from the military will go out there because, San Diego's a great place to be if you're retired military. But if you're retired military, you probably can't afford to live around San Diego, so you head east. Number 7, Eugene, Oregon. Eugene is a place to go if you want all the greenery of Portland without the sky-high prices and tent cities on just about every sidewalk downtown. Now, they do have homeless. I'm not saying they don't, it's just not as horrible as Portland. But it's affordable with mild weather if you don't like the rain. It rains a lot. They don't have blizzards, and it doesn't get sweltering for 7 weeks a year, like Arizona or something. Eugene is also a great place for people that want to be outdoors. Great gardening. They have a saying here in Oregon, everything grows in Oregon. Even if you don't want to. I get moss removed from my roof every single year. That's actually a lie. I'm told I should get moss removed from my roof every single year. My neighbor keeps giving me the side eye. Now, I always talk about farmers markets because that is a very popular thing with millennials and Gen Z. Retirees get into it too. It's not for everyone, but farmers markets do, appeal to a lot of people. And I always bring them up. And Eugene is like one of the kings of thriving farmers markets. You can buy all the overpriced organic kale while pretending to be living your best life. The crime rate in Eugene is 11% above the national average, and their cost of living is 13% above the national average. That's not terrible for a place that's very appealing to move to. The average home value here is $465,000. Number 6, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Yes, I know, you just raised your eyebrows, but hear me out. Tuscaloosa has a low cost of living, friendly people, and enough SEC football hype to keep your weekends busy. The winters here are so mild your galoshes and snow shovel can finally retire too. And when it comes to food, Southern Comfort will make sure your doctor stays employed. Affordable housing? Check. Charming accent? Check. Endless summer humidity? Double check. In my opinion, like Huntsville, Tuscaloosa isn't like the rest of Alabama. It's very different, in a good way. Now, their crime rate is a little bit high, but it's not the end of the world. Their crime rate is 31% above the national average. Their cost of living is 9% lower than the national average, and this is what helps you overlook the crime rate. Their average home value is $216,000, and that is down 3% over the last year. Number 5, Savannah, Georgia. If you're a fan of cobblestone streets, southern charm, and weather that won't melt your face off, Savannah might be your dream destination. The city has affordable housing, laid-back vibe, and enough historic architecture to make you feel like you've stepped into a movie. Romantic or historical drama, this city's good for both those. Old buildings, like I said, cobblestone roads, and enough Spanish moss to make you crazy. It is amazingly beautiful and a nice city to live in. I can't believe it's as cheap as it actually is. Now, the crime rate is 15% above the national average. Their cost of living is 3% below the national average, and their average home value is only $321,000. Now, yes, if you get down towards the water, it's going to get terribly expensive, but for the most part, it's affordable. Number 4, Flagstaff, Arizona. We never talk about Flagstaff on this channel. I think the main reason for that is it's a little expensive for an Arizona city. It's really not like most Arizona cities. I mean, it's not sweltering. This one is up in the mountains, but it's got some key features that retirees and remote workers really like. Flagstaff's for people that maybe like a little bit of snow, and they're not like the rest of Arizona where people think 100 degrees is just a little bit warm. It can get some warm weather, but not like Tucson, Phoenix type warm weather. Let's talk about why they get on the list, even though, they're a little expensive. The natural beauty, the hiking trails, they've got plenty of golf, it's close to the Grand Canyon, and it's really close to Sedona. So if you're into social media, you got your Instagram, maybe you're a YouTuber, maybe you're a retiree that wants to be a YouTuber or an Instagram person, this is the perfect place to live. It is surrounded by some of the best hiking trails in the country. I mean, it's got so many outdoor activities, the most dedicated Netflix binger will reconsider their life choices when they move to Flagstaff. The crime rate here is 10% lower than the national average. The cost of living is 22% higher than the national average. So this is a great place for safety, not the greatest place if you're not retiring with, a good chunk of change or you're a remote worker that makes less than $100,000 a year. The average home value here is $649,000. Number 3, Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville is like the Goldilocks of relocation cities. Not too big, not too small, and just affordable enough to make you think you've hacked the system. The downtown area is charming, the weather is mild, and the locals are so friendly you wonder if they're plotting something against you. Spoiler alert, they're not. They're just Southern people, and they're happy. Enjoy the waterfalls, parks, and a food scene that's surprisingly sophisticated for a city where flip-flops are considered formal wear. The atmosphere of Greenville is sort of what gets them on the list here. I got a lot of things to do in the city. The city is very vibrant, even though I'm not a big fan of the word vibrant. It describes it perfectly. But at the same time, it's relaxed and it's very southern and very laid back. Imagine Southern California with affordability and morals. Now, their crime is a little bit up there. Their crime rate is actually 36% above the national average. Their cost of living is 6% above the national average. But their house prices, that's reasonable. $307,000 is the average home value in Greenville, South Carolina. That's not bad, especially for a place that's nice to live. Number 2, Carson City, Nevada. This is the one that I said a lot of you will be surprised about, and I'm going to explain why it's on this list. It's Nevada's underrated gem. It's got the mild weather you've been dreaming about, affordable housing, and plenty of outdoor activities that don't include a blackjack table, but it can. They have blackjack tables in the pool at the casinos. You'll enjoy scenic mountain views and a small town feel with just enough amenities to keep you comfortable. Plus, no state income tax. You'll have more cash to spend on whatever retirees and remote workers buy. Probably snacks and tech gadgets, I imagine. Now, this is why I really think it's a good option. It's the Lake Tahoe thing. There's plenty of outdoor activities to do. If you're a retiree, going fishing, going hiking, that can be a big part of your life here. And it's not just Lake Tahoe. They got a whole bunch of other little lakes around. But Lake Tahoe, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful lakes we have in this country. Now, here's the other reason. A lot of retirees love casinos, and remote workers tend to love the outdoors, so it's perfect. And like I said, it's affordable. They have a little bit of crime, and it is the capital of Nevada. Their crime rate is 30% above the national average. That's not great. Their cost of living is 9% above the national average. That's not great either. But their home values are even with the national average, or thereabout. The average home value here is $457,000. I like Carson City. I know it wouldn't be a lot of people's first options, but take a look, especially if you're worried about taxes in retirement or taxes in general. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to one of these cities, there's a link for a website called Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Friendswood, Texas. Friendswood sounds like the kind of place where people bake cookies for their neighbors, and honestly, it kind of is. Met a couple people from there on a cruise. They're really nice ladies. Located near Houston, this gem offers mild winters, affordable housing, and a vibe so wholesome you'll feel like you're living in a Norman Rockwell painting. Sure, it gets a bit humid, but that's just nature's way of keeping your skin hydrated. Plus, you're close enough to Houston to enjoy the big city amenities without actually having to live in that chaos. It is a suburb of the Houston metro area, and it's really nice. It's on the southern side of it, so you're close enough to Galveston to go to the beach, or take a cruise out there. I did once. It was really nice. Now, I really like this place. The stats are outstanding. It's one of the nicer places I've ever seen in Texas, honestly. Here you go. Their crime rate is 72% below the national average. This is the type of place where you can have your Amazon packages delivered, go on a 7-day cruise, and come back, and your packages are still there. Their cost of living is 16% above the national average, and their average home value is $441,000. That is not bad for a place with great stats. I mean, if you go deeper into their stats, you look at their employment, great numbers, housing, great numbers, schools are outstanding. Not a bad place to live, retire, work remotely, whatever you want to do. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. If you did, you probably like one of the 2 videos being suggested right now. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.